You sit down to do something important. Maybe it's studying, maybe it's work, maybe it's something you know you should do. But instead, you scroll, you delay, you tell yourself, I'm just being lazy. But here's the problem. What if you're not lazy at all? What if your brain is actually exhausted? Because modern neuroscience suggests something uncomfortable. That feeling you call laziness might actually be your brain running out of mental energy. Most people think laziness is a personality flaw, a lack of discipline, a lack of motivation, a lack of effort. But psychologists and neuroscientists are starting to see a different pattern. Many behaviors we label as laziness are actually symptoms of cognitive fatigue, mental overload, and burnout. Your brain isn't refusing to work. It might be struggling to keep up. So today we're breaking down why your brain shuts down, how mental exhaustion affects motivation, and why doing nothing sometimes feels easier than doing anything at all. Your brain makes up only about 2% of your body weight, but it consumes around 20% of your body's energy. That's a massive demand. Every decision you make, every thought you process, every time you focus, your brain is using energy. This includes processes like glucose metabolism, which fuels neural activity. When cognitive demand increases, energy consumption increases too. That means thinking isn't free. It's biologically expensive. Now here's where things get interesting. Not all thinking is equal. Simple, automatic tasks require very little effort. But complex tasks, like problem-solving, planning, or decision-making, require heavy involvement from the prefrontal cortex. This part of the brain handles focus, self-control, decision-making, goal-directed behavior, and it tires out faster than you think. This is called cognitive fatigue. After long periods of mental effort, the prefrontal cortex becomes less efficient, which means tasks start to feel harder, even if they aren't. Every day, your brain makes thousands of decisions. What to wear, what to eat, what to click, what to ignore. Each decision uses a small amount of mental energy. Individually, they seem insignificant, but together, they add up. This leads to something called decision fatigue. By the time you reach important tasks, your brain has already spent a large portion of its available resources, which makes even simple tasks feel overwhelming. Here's the brutal truth. What you call laziness is often just low mental energy. When your brain is fatigued, it naturally tries to conserve energy. This is an automatic survival mechanism. The brain shifts toward low-effort activities, immediate rewards, passive consumption, like scrolling social media or watching videos, not because you're weak, but because your brain is trying to recover. Motivation is closely linked to a neurotransmitter called dopamine. Dopamine isn't just about pleasure, it's about drive and anticipation. When dopamine levels are balanced, tasks feel achievable, but under conditions of stress, overload, or fatigue, dopamine signaling can change. Effort starts to feel more costly, rewards feel less appealing, and your brain begins avoiding tasks that require effort. This creates the illusion of laziness, but it's actually a shift in motivation circuitry. Modern life is uniquely exhausting for the brain, not physically, mentally. Think about it. Constant notifications, endless information, multitasking, rapid context switching. Each time you switch tasks, your brain pays a cognitive switching cost. It has to disengage from one task and re-engage with another. That process consumes energy. Over time, this creates attention fatigue, even if you haven't done anything physically demanding. Many people believe multitasking increases productivity, but neuroscience shows the opposite. The brain doesn't truly multitask. It rapidly switches between tasks, and every switch reduces efficiency. This leads to slower processing, more errors, higher mental fatigue, which means by the end of the day, your brain feels drained, even if you didn't complete much. Stress plays a major role in mental fatigue. When you're stressed, your body releases cortisol, a stress hormone. Short-term stress can increase alertness, but chronic stress does the opposite. It overloads the brain, it disrupts cognitive control systems, and it reduces your ability to focus and make decisions. This contributes to emotional exhaustion, a key component of burnout. One of the biggest contributors to mental exhaustion is sleep deprivation. During sleep, the brain performs critical maintenance. It clears metabolic waste. It consolidates memories. It restores neural function. When you don't get enough sleep, these processes are disrupted. The result? Reduced attention, lower motivation, higher fatigue, and a much stronger tendency to avoid effort. Procrastination isn't just poor time management. It's often an energy management problem. When your brain is exhausted, it prioritizes short-term relief over long-term goals. This is why you might choose scrolling over studying, resting, overworking, avoidance over action, because your brain is trying to reduce immediate mental strain. When you stop focusing, your brain doesn't turn off. It shifts into something called the default mode network. This system is active during rest, daydreaming, and reflection. It helps process information and recover from cognitive effort, which means doing nothing is actually doing something important. Your brain is recharging. Your brain consumes about 20% of your body's energy, even at rest. Mental fatigue can reduce decision-making quality significantly. Multitasking can lower productivity by up to 40% in some studies. Sleep deprivation can impair cognitive performance, similarly to alcohol intoxication. And surprisingly, taking short breaks can improve mental efficiency and focus. Feeling lazy doesn't always mean you lack discipline. It often means your brain is overloaded, fatigued, or depleted. Modern life constantly demands attention, decisions, and mental effort. And your brain responds by trying to conserve energy. That's not failure, that's biology. Understanding this changes how you see productivity, because sometimes the problem isn't that you don't want to work. It's that your brain needs to recover before it can perform again. If you found this video helpful, consider sharing it and subscribing to the channel for more insights into psychology, brain science, and everyday behavior, because sometimes the biggest productivity problem is misunderstanding how your brain actually works.